Hello
Thank you.
everyone, I'm Sanjay Thiyagarajan and I am here to present a wonderful extension to you called Wanda. Wanda provides an AI-powered chatbot interface for your wiki. It can basically answer all your questions about your wiki's content using various LLM providers, and it also includes two different ways of access. So you can either access it through a dedicated special page or you can access it through a floating chat widget. Wanda also provides an API action which would allow other extensions and services to interact with the LLM. So this would make Wanda serve as an engine instead of just as an extension as well, so that if you have a new use case in future which would require an AI enablement, you would use Wanda for that as an engine. And moving on to the requirements, Wanda currently supports a variety of API access. So you can access Wanda through Azure OpenAI service. You can use it with Anthropic Cloud service and OpenAI API directly, as well as the most important piece, Olama, which is when you want to run your own LLM locally with minimal weights, you can do that as well. That gives you a higher level of privacy if you don't want to share your data with any service external service providers. Since MediaWiki stack is already well connected with Elasticsearch server, we are using Elasticsearch as our vector database instead of going with a separate open source vector database. So we will be storing indices inside Elasticsearch server, and those indices will be used for querying basically the retrieval part of this chatbot. So enough about the documentation. This you'll be able to find at mediawiki.org extension namespace Wanda, and let's actually get into a real demo where we'll see Wanda in action on a real demo site, basically. So I'm going to first use the floating chat widget here to ask a question. So this is a sample apples page which has information about the apple fruit. So I'll start with the basic question. What do you know about apples? So the expectation is that Wanda would go through the embeddings generated for this page and you'll get a semantically similar answer for your question. As you can see, you already have the information extracted and formatted in a very readable format and endpoint so that it's much easier to comprehend and understand for quick reference. And you'll also see sources at the bottom where closely related sources according to your question would be picked up. So this, as you can see, the top match source is here, which is the Apple's page. So along with this feature, we have one more interesting feature, which is remember conversation. So initially, Wanda was built to not remember any conversation, and it is supposed to be just a one-go solution. So once you have your answer, it will lose context, and you'll be submitting a new question, and without context, it would try to answer. So we wanted to build it very similar to the ChatGPT externally available. So we have a remember conversation, which is always enabled, and you can disable when you want. So this will let the LLM basically understand what your previous conversation is and use that to the extent required for answering your next question. Now let me show you another interesting feature in Wanda. So let's say you have images uploaded in your wiki and you want to ask questions about an image or just know more about some details within your image. Wanda can help you with that as well. So if you click on the image thumbnail close to your message box here, you'll see an image picker dialog opened here. So you just need to type the name of your file. In this case, it's Latmer Holy. I'm just going to ask what is happening in the attached image. So we have a response stating that the image shows a large crowd of people celebrating colored bird smoke. So it is basically inferring what's happening within your image and trying to explain what are the different aspects within your image. So this is powered by LLM as well. So this is not possible with all LLMs, but instead LLMs which support image upload or file upload. So all the very recent LLM releases from all providers have image attachment support. So that is utilized in Wanda as well. Now let's look at a surprise feature which will be released very soon in Wanda, which is cargo integration with Wanda. So we plan to integrate all structured forms of data within MediaWiki. So we are starting there with cargo as the first step. So I have a cargo table open here, which is zoo animals, and I'm just going to ask a question. Let's say, which animals have an aloof personality and where do they live? So this would basically fetch the rows which have aloof personality, and then it will fetch where they live as well as information within this table, which is location table. We have one more table called location table. Let me show that as well. So this has information about the location, not very comprehensive, but still additional information which would be fetched from this table. So let's try asking this question now and hit on send. Wanda has multi-step reasoning enabled here, so you'll get the answer based on querying two different tables, and it would be presented to you based on the results after those tables. So if you click on show thinking, you'll see which tables are queried for this specific operation, and you would also be able to see a very well formatted result here. So in this case, lion and panda are two animals which have aloof personality, and you see a join mate here which states that extra fee is required for one and it's not required for the other. And also they are constructed. You can verify the same on this cargo table as well. So we plan to almost handle all the cargo operations possible or the cargo query operations possible within Wanda. And once we have a satisfactory result, we are planning to release this into the master branch of Wanda. So this would be a cool feature to try out, and we still have plans to bring in Wikidata, wiki-based integrations as well with Wanda in the future. That's all about Wanda, and I'm now going to show you two other extensions which are consuming Wanda as their engine. The first one there is Wanda Score. When you install Wanda Score, it will add a pop-up window or basically a clickable interface to your wiki over on the top right corner. So this is the Wanda Score for this specific page, which is Apple's page. Now, when you click on that, you'll see a detailed view or basically a detailed analysis based on the content. So we have added a set of conditions to check the content again. So first one is bias detection, human written content detection, and language quality, grammar and spelling, conciseness. So you can add as much categories as you want, and this is completely customizable. So once you have the page content updated and you don't see an updated score, you can also manually trigger that using the refresh score. But according to our logic, whenever you update your page, a hook would be triggered, and Vandascore would basically understand and update this scoring for you. So that's Vandascore, and I'll show you one more extension, which is Vandascribe, which is also using Vanda. So if you click on Edit, you'll go to your default edit window, and you'll see the Vandascribe embedded here. So Vandascribe has different options which you could do, and as you see, the first instruction here is select text in the editor to get writing assistance. Let's say I want to summarize this entire paragraph. This is a very long paragraph, basically multiple paragraphs, and I want to summarize this. So I'll select this and click on summarize. And it's as simple as that. The LLM would take all this information as content, and it would try to summarize and show you what would be the summarized results using this suggestions pop-up. So the suggested category here would basically show what your future output would be if you decide to accept this. If you don't want to accept this, you can just click on dismiss, and let's say I am accepting this. So if I click on apply, this would be added here. And one more additional feature or basically necessary feature for this is undo. So when you clicked on accept by mistake, for example, you can always do a control Z and it will still work here. And let's look at a few more options here. You can even check for grammar. It will look at all of your content here and see if there's any grammatical errors, and it will basically recommend multiple suggestions if there are multiple suggestions required. So there is a grammar fix here, and you can apply it if you require. So the other options here is whether you want to make the text entirely formal or you want to make it casual. Casual is an interesting option to try out. Let's try it out. So this is an extract from Wikipedia, which is very formally written with information. And if you look at the casual output here, which starts with this blue marker here, and apple is that round edible fruit you get from apple trees. It's very casual language. You don't need multiple fancy words added here, and you can just click on apply to see how the casual writing looks like. So these are the initial set of features we have implemented in WandaScribe, but in future there is a high possibility that you could add more features as you require here. And WandaScribe is also a very interesting and growing extension. So that's all I had for the demo, and I'd be interested to know whether you have any questions or if you want to try out this in the demo wiki, we'll be able to do that.